Hey everybody, Jim Grey Wolf here with our community podcast of A Gathering of Eagles and with my co-hosts Melissa and Valerie, and that's all of those folks here at the moment. But in effect, really, we're all kind of co-hosts in this. That's the way this has evolved, and it's really been beautiful, really. And for those of you who come all the time, it wouldn't be the show it is without you too, so much thanks. I was just bringing in our friends, the groups online. So first of all, the grandmothers group has two new grandmothers this week, but two of the others are not there. So they still have six grandmothers, which is plenty. I personally don't like to go up against more than three grandmothers at any one time, but that's just me. And our friends on Pine Ridge have added three new youth council members, and they've got 37 people up there today, which is a great group. And of that, 17 are youth council now. So that's growing and growing. I just really want to recognize them, make sure they can hear me, and tell them how much we all respect them. They have been reaching out, and it's a challenge. It's not easy for them. They connected with another African group this week. One of my good friends who's a chief in Africa and leads a lot of work there and in New York where he's a physician, I guess gave them the connection. So everything just keeps spreading on, and it's really beautiful. So you guys keep it up. You all are the future. All of us now here are the present. Some of us are probably more of the past than even the present, but you guys are most definitely the future. And with that, who wants to talk about what the show might be tonight? Melissa, you wrote it, or Valerie, you guys kind of, or Chantel, I don't know.
Let's start with Chantel because
Well,
she can
yeah,
start off. Yeah.
maybe she could do the opening prayer and then,
Oh yeah, sounds
That's what I
wonderful.
was
okay,
just going to say. Why don't we begin with prayer?
perfect. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Oh,
Okay, I got this.
yeah, okay.
All right. Well, tonight in my smudge that I'm lighting, I got all the four medicines: cedar, tobacco, sweetgrass, and sage. I'm gonna light that right now. And it's an honor to do this opening prayer with y'all. I like this group. I really do. It gives me a lot of great wisdom and guidance. But Buju ani maniduda minawa naji bimadizi mano minokwe nidej nikaz jaganashimang chantel awazese nindu dame obashi nindunjaba get your money do minawa get your money do minawa and give money do wabanang jawanang ning gabianang minawa giwedinang Manidug oma aki mama aki minawa de gijik. Manidug ishpaming minawa manidug nibakang. Gaga o the pinig wa awa sema. Jawanim ganawanim widakau minawa janem. Jawanim ishinam niji bimadizig. Widakau wishin ji mino ganawa ba magwa. Ji mino ganunagwa. Minowa mino dudawagwa. Niji bimadizi. Ji nanda gakandamin. Ojibwe moen minowa. Anishinaabe ijatwawan. Chi miigwich gichi manidu. Chi miigwich manidug. Ga ganawe ni nagwa. Chi miigwich noongam ga gijiga. Chi miigwich ga mijayang mino bimadizi win. Chi miigwich ga kena gego is a chigayek, chimigwich ga kena gego ga is a tuyek. Daga Yahweh nemishinam a Yahweh nijib imadazig. Nin gimad ne jidwin, nin awe ne majidwin. Gijawanemin. Hello, I'm calling upon all the spirits, my fellow living beings, the Great Spirit, those spirits in the east and the south and the west and in the north. Spirits here on earth, Mother Earth and Father Sky. Spirits above, spirits of the waters. Please accept this tobacco to love them, have compassion for them, take care of them, help them. Love us, my fellow living beings. Help me to look upon them well, to speak to them well, and to treat them well, my fellow living beings. Help me to learn the Ojibwe-Moan and the Anishinaabe culture. Thank you, Great Spirit, and the spirits who take care of us. Thank you for today. Thank you for giving us the good life. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for everything you create. Please love us for who we are, my fellow living beings. I respect you. Together we respect each other, and I love you. Thanks. Okay, so the reason why I asked that question is because, so yesterday morning I woke up and I had all these thoughts come to my head, and I was thinking about spiritual gifts. Like, um, is it that, like, can the Creator take away our gifts? Or do we have to, once we get our gifts, do we have to practice them and more to enhance them? Or if we don't use them at all, are they just, we just, like, they're just never activated? So I don't know, there was just a lot of things about spiritual sense, because I heard somewhere that if you don't dream, if you don't have a dream state of mind, or say when you go to sleep you don't dream of nothing, I've heard that your spiritual gifts are stripped from you. So I don't know how much true that is, or because I know like, for instance, my son's dad, he says he never dreams, you know, and he's kind of like not that much of a good person. Um, so I don't know. That was my main question, I guess I had for whatever. If you guys can answer it or whatever. I don't know if that makes sense, but thank you for listening.
Beautiful opening. And yeah, I think it makes total sense. Valerie or Melissa, anything to add to
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
Yeah.
Chantel, I'll jump on that. Definitely. It's actually in the collective today talking about dreams, and one of my colleagues was talking about how important it was, and really to understand dreams. So talking about consciousness and your gifts, um, it's not the gifts that appear or disappear. We have to think about our consciousness. And I think that's what's most important, because even when we think about harmony and balance and what we're working with, we have to think about, well, those of us that open up spiritually, a lot of times it's after a traumatic event that occurs. And a lot of times, it's not a lot of times, when we're born and when we're children, what I've learned working with children who have a lot of spiritual gifts is, and studying the evolution of consciousness and the biography work from Rudolf Steiner, we used to sit in our child study team each week on Mondays with the doctors, the anthroposophical doctors from the Waldorf School, and the teachers. And right then and there, we were taught to bring the children home and ask for dreams about them. And then we reported the next week on what came. So dreams are very alive. And what I was hearing today, a lot of times people try to study dream work. Carl Jung, he wrote all about dreams, memories, dreams, reflections is one of his Bibles. And people try to even wake up while they're sleeping so that they recall their dreams. And that's actually a disturbance. You're supposed to just allow yourself to go. And a lot of times people will notice that just when they're sitting in session or talking with somebody else, they just kind of go. Their consciousness just separates. It separates from their body. I don't want to go too much into the different subtle energy bodies, if you want to know about that, you can watch my YouTube video. I have that, frequency is medicine, and I really break all of the energetic bodies down and what they're related to chakra wise. But for in the terms of, you know, Steiner, where I study a lot of this consciousness, you know, we're fully awake when we're in ordinary thinking, but feeling has a dreamy quality. And when we think about the threefold human being, we have thinking, feeling, and willing. So we have these three at play, these three beings that live with us. And what we're doing is constantly going in and out. So some of our deepest capacities, that intuition, moral imagination, that healing ability, the insight, artistic expression, the way that we can perceive things from a spiritual realm, they often arise from the first regions of the soul that are not fully awake. So when you hear messages from your dreams, you know, I hear, I see, you know, you know, I have these, I have access to the supersensory worlds quite often, and I've cultivated those over many years, but only certain times in my life, and I could probably count on them in one hand, have I awoken with a clear message, like this is it, you know, and it's kind of like a shout at times, but it's not, I'm not trying to, but when I hear the most, it's usually between wake and sleep, because dreams serve as this threshold. So dream life is emerging from sleep and pictures. So pictures borrow things from ordinary life. That's why you're like, I don't know why I dreamed of a flying, like I didn't know. I dreamed about an injured cat, and it meant reconciliation, and it was really appropriate in my time. So I look into it. But you don't have to look too much into it, because it could be so many different ways. Dreams are not automatically spiritual messages. Know that, because again, it depends on what state of consciousness that you're in to what you're receiving. A few weeks ago, I talked about this when I was trained by a very gifted person who worked with spirit. And she explained to me, like, Melissa, when you crack open to everything, and things are like on this scale from 1 to 7, and 7 being, you know, the highest of those ascended masters, and 1s being like the low lying discarnate souls. But when you open up spiritually and psychically, clairvoyantly, clairaudiently, all of the different clairs, you open up to you open up to the whole soup, the whole pot. So our biggest skill to cultivate is our discernment and disciplined development. That's why all great teachers will say, I meditate. At least one of my teachers who created this tuning forks, John Bellew, he's in his 70s. He's like, every single day since I'm like a teenager, I've meditated for 20 minutes a day minimum. And I mean, he's very connected to the other side. So Steiner calls dream world a kind of bridge between the ordinary consciousness and a deeper spiritual reality. Imagination is not fantasy. It's actually disciplined spiritual seeing. And inspiration is a deeper perception of that meaning, comparing it to like spiritual hearing. So when you have your intuition, that's a direct participation with the spiritual reality. And we talked about this too, about thought forms. That's why when you walk out of a room, you forget something, you walk back and then you remember, because you're literally walking back into those forms. So we can't control a dream. I think it's important to understand that a dream is given, just like my brothers and sisters here can talk about, you know, quests and being on vision quests and being, you know, in different places where you enter that trance state, right? So visions are given to you. Dreams are a gift as well. Gifts must be cultivated and they must be developed. So to answer right now, use it or lose it. When we cultivate it, it becomes imagination. When we learn to listen beneath the image, it becomes inspiration. when we unite our life with sacred purpose, it becomes intuition. So I hope that that helps. And I got a poem, but I think I'll leave that there and I'll let you poke the bear some more.
Okay, that's a good opening. It's kind of, I'm smiling to myself because I was thinking heading into this is going to be a really interesting show, and it will probably lead into a show around dreams next week. And we got them all together in the grab bag. And yeah, I'm completely with Melissa. Spiritual powers, those are not dreams. Spiritual work can be done in dreams. Aborigines are the best known for that. They create everything in their dreams and then simply act it out when they're awake. So that doesn't mean they're any less. They're really important. Probably half the people that come to work with me tell me they don't dream. The reality is everybody dreams. It's hardwired. They don't remember their dreams, or they're suppressed, or they're pushed down. But dreams happen. I know for me, there's sometimes, usually when I wake up, wow, that must have been a powerful dream. I have no idea what it was. But it'll surface when I need it. So there's that element too. For me, on the spiritual powers, spiritual gifts, wow, so many places to go to. Um, no, it's not use them or lose them at all. And again, a lot of people who come to me say, well, I used to really be spiritual and I lost all my powers. No, you haven't. You may have shut them down. You may have suppressed them because you're not ready to face them. Maybe a lot of things. But they stay there. And I remember when I started on the road, I had all these things firing off because I had a complete lack of patience. I wanted to know it all at once. And so I had like a meltdown. And I thought I had lost what I had already accomplished. And I remember my primary teacher standing there just laughing. And he said, good, it's a good lesson for you. No, you haven't lost anything. But maybe you were coming at it the wrong way or too fast. And therefore, they've gone away for a while. So relax. Let's do ceremony for a while. And they'll come back. And sure enough, they did. So that's my take on this. I see, Mr. Chris. Welcome from down under.
Hello. Yeah, enjoying these conversations. Melissa, agree with so much of what you're sharing there and being similar as well. And with what you're sharing, Jim, a couple of bits I'd add in. With dreams, I found I could go in and play with the dream. I couldn't decide the content, but I could work with the content. Like I found in dreams, if I came to a crossroads and I made a choice and I started heading down a track, it didn't feel the place to go. I got to a place where I could rewind the dream to the original choice point and it would allow me to explore the alternate choice. So I could play with the dreams and things like that. One of the things was that if I was having a dream and I got up and had a bathroom break or something, went back to bed, went to sleep, I could restart the dream from where I left off. But what got me there is I'd been doing a dream diary for 6 months and I was writing down absolutely everything. And I'd always have a wee pad by my bed. So if I half woke up, I could write a couple of keywords about a dream down so I could recall it in the morning. There's ways of working with it, but the dream itself, the overall format is sort of set. What else? Yeah, the bit you were sharing, Jim, can't lose stuff. I used to worry about losing stuff too, and once again, it never happened. And often I found when I felt I'd lost things because something was coming out quite intensely, like another subject or a sideline subject. And couldn't feel my abilities or where they'd gone or anything. But when things settled down and I broke through that lesson that I was focused on, the abilities came back, and they had been evolving in the background. As I was evolving with the core lesson, the abilities were evolving along the side without me even realizing they were doing it. So often when they came back with gusto. So me just adding those two bits in. Talking stick in the middle.
Chris,
Yeah, that's
well,
good.
while Chris is on there, I thought he might want to speak to Robbie's questions as well. So, Robbie, did you have a few things you wanted to ask while Chris is here?
I rarely remember having any dreams, usually reliving past events trying to resolve something that's happened. And when I've done meditations on with other people, they've described all what they've seen, and I haven't seen nothing. It's just been like a timeless empty space where I haven't felt any time. How would you explain that? I just don't have the same
Um,
gifts.
yeah, and I'll use a little bit of science here. From the research I've come across, like Jim said, everybody has dreams. It's just that not all of us recall it. So what we can look at is practicing how to recall the dream. Even just acknowledging we had a dream to start with is helpful. And that's where, I got to, as I said, I'd have a little pad mime in there, because often we have a dream during the night, we wake up and forget what it was, because the dream happens in a different brain state to the waking state. So to recall the dream, we actually ideally need to drop back into that dream rhythm. I forget whether it's delta or theta, but we're dropping back into the same brainwave pattern. When I take people back into their dreams, we're essentially dropping into trance and working with it together. At the start, if you can't recall what a dream is, if you have any inclination that you've had a dream before, do you find you have that sort of feeling come out? I've had a dream, but don't know what it is. Does that happen for you? Robbie? No?
I don't often see any similarities to when I remember the dreams and when I don't.
What I would look at is when you do remember them, it's practicing with that. One of the things that I learned to do is when I could remember I had one, if I was waking up, I'd sort of rehearse myself through the dream again, just so I could practice bringing it through to the waking brain. Or once again, that pad by the bed where I write a couple of keynotes, words down. Sometimes just a couple of words was enough, tractor, snake, and that was enough to recall the dream in the morning. The other one is the more you do it, the easier it becomes. So consistency becomes a pattern. Meditation can help too, because part of what meditation allows us to do is to have a clearer mind. So we don't get caught up in questioning, stuff like that, what I call distractive stuff. But yeah,
Good.
everybody has dreams, and they usually can be anything from 30 minutes to 10 seconds on average. And
Yep.
most people have approximately 10 dreams a night. So talking stick in the middle.
That's great. Thanks, Chris. I'm, okay, more people are coming. So, I just got from the grandmothers, funny we were talking about that. Somebody here was mentioning they were working with dragon. One of the grandmothers is there working with dragons. I left my dragon on because it wanted to come tonight, so I guess there's some dragon work here. But from grandmother Val for the grandmothers, they just want to say respectfully, and they're right, I didn't realize, we've got 20. We have like 75 people engaged here tonight. And the grandmothers would like to make sure that our young people especially get a chance to ask their questions. So they're asking me to make sure I can pay attention. I will. Last week we had a lot of good discussion too, and I got behind. So I will, we don't see them on the screen, but I'll pay attention here so I know who's coming who's coming up next, whether they're with us here or whether they're on the phone. And you guys up there, I'll do my darndest to get you in. And any of these shows, if we feel at the end of the show we're not complete, we can always move it into the next week as well. So that's also an option, but I'll do my best. That's, yeah. I've gotten better at it, but that is a lot to juggle. So thank you, grandmothers. Appreciate that, and you are spot on. Okay. Wow, a lot of great stuff from Chris there too. The okay, back to the gifts. No, maybe not shift that yet. There's some other things that have been coming up today. This topic's been coming up in a big way since I saw it written up, the write-up that the three ladies worked on. I didn't come in until late. I was busy doing other things, but it's been popping up a lot today. My first meeting today was at 4 a.m., which I didn't know was coming. I got called in, and so I was there with toothpicks holding my eyes open. But it was really powerful, and it was around, okay, how do we use our gifts right now? And part of that was peaceful action, which we'll get back to in a bit. How does that relate? Is that a spiritual gift? Is it different than war or negative actions? So that brought a whole chain of things. And someone else was mentioning the way people were showing up now. So here now at my place, we have somebody who is Tohono O'odham here. My brother Shazae's here. He's Dene and Lakota. And then I got a call yesterday, so a Lakota and Amish friend showed up with a Dakota person and then another Lakota person. So we had a little mini indigenous UN here, and it was really powerful. And some of them got in late, so we didn't have a lot of time, but we had time this morning. That seems to be happening a lot too. And that's really something to keep your eyes on. It doesn't even have to be all of our own spiritual gifts. If we see it in somebody else, wow, I'm thrilled to understand what it is. And always be ready, ask, you know. This is something we just open and speak about. There's no right or wrong. You're not going to insult anybody. Just, wow, what is that you do? And how can you fly that high? Whatever. Christopher. You're muted.
Takes me a second too
Yeah,
to
okay.
unmute. Yeah, just thinking about gifts and how they impair and things like that. I'll give a personal perspective first. And I find everybody has access to what we call gifts, which to me are just natural abilities of an evolving soul. But they tend to come when we're ready for it. If we try and force them, it's not always a happy conclusion. I know when some of mine were first coming through, I actually had a lot of trouble handling the new information. I was so unused to it that it took me a lot to assimilate it. And I was really grateful at different aspects of ability, like the clairvoyant, the clairaudient, seeing auras. They came almost one at a time. One would establish itself and then the next one would start to edge through. And I realized there is a natural opening process, that there is a higher part of ourselves manages quite well. So I trusted the flow instead of trying to make things happen. I developed it at the rate it was coming, with a little bit of practice along the way. I'm also aware that when I've gone into the history of psychic events and phenomena, it has changed a lot over time. And what's coming through for people is evolving as the human race is evolving, which we can debate which bits are evolving and which bits aren't. But to me, it's still worthwhile. In the early days, they used to do the Ouija boards, there was table rapping, then we had trance mediums, was one of the next phases. And then we just had mediums, and then we've got psychic mediums. And these are all different stages of evolution of psychic abilities as they come through to the human race. And it's an ongoing process, but it is worthwhile. Once you get used to the gifts, you start seeing the beauty of
Right.
them. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, brother. Chantel, go ahead, and then I'll shift to here a bit.
Okay, so I had this experience a couple weeks ago or a few weeks back, and that's another question why I brought up the spiritual gifts was, well, okay, so there's this lady that went missing here in the area that I live, and anyways, she was found in this area where we went hiking one. She was found dead where we went hiking this day, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure if um it was like if she was still there when we were there. But anyways, what had happened was like it was like we were led there, and we kept hearing this ringing, and like there was an eagle there too, and it whistled or it did his little eagle thing, like it was trying to assign us there. Maybe I don't know, but that's the only reason why I was like thinking about these spiritual gifts was like was there was it was it a coincidence that it had to be in the same area? Was that eagle trying to tell me that she was back there, or I don't know. It was just a bunch of questions, and I was just thinking like maybe because all these thoughts were in my mind when I was in that area, like, oh my God, what if I find somebody dead back here? Or what if, just all these random thoughts were coming to my head, and I kind of got scared. And I was like, all right, let's go home, I told my son. And then just last week, that's when I found out that that's where the lady was found. It was a suicide attempt, I guess, but she was found in that same area where we were. So I don't know. I just thought I would share that. Thank you for listening.
Thanks. No, good questions. First of all, from my experience and from a lot of people's, a show of hands, there is no coincidences. Anyone else believe that one? Yep. Um, yes. Coincidence is just something, a word, and a concept people created so they could understand or try to understand that something that's not understandable. So yes, I think you were probably guided. If you were in your heart and your spirit, that's when you were guided to find things, and they're not always pleasant things. But I was thinking, as you were talking, I was thinking about our brother Standing Bear, and his ceremony this past Sunday was incredible, and he was there, and he was offering up his power and his gifts that we were remembering, and some little joke things that he would do. So it doesn't stop when we come to the end of the physical life either. That's something it took me a long time to accept. Now that I'm at the age I am, oh, I get it. Yeah, how about that? I could almost see the next part of it on the other side. And it just shifts. And that is a lot of understanding and moving your knowledge into wisdom. And we're creating a lot of wisdom here tonight, in my opinion. Putting the pieces together, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. So thank you. That's a really good question, Chantel. So from our youth council, they want to talk a little bit about the action part too, and we will get to that. Okay, so they're asking again about that model that I've mentioned before, Apex, action, prayer, education, and ceremony. We're seeing it more and more come about now. And that's really good because we need those different pieces. There's so much going on. And it's now like there's a lot of talk amongst various groups. What do we do next? And it's that more of an acceptance by even more people that ain't nobody coming to stop this for us. Ain't nobody coming to end the insanity and get things on a positive place where we can start weaving a new way. It's up to us, all of us. And it's groups like this and groups that like Mel puts together or the healing group that Standing Bear had, which I'm so glad is going to continue. It's all these. Each of us are a grain of sand in that. And so that's where we can combine our spiritual gifts. And that also is synergy. If you combine our spiritual gifts, 1 + 1 is 3. Always. I have some people I work with who I know their gifts and they're incredible. And when I work with them, I can feel my own gifts increased. And they feel the same way. So that's another good element and something they were bringing up here. On the action piece, okay, Valerie, you have your hand up. Why don't we go to Valerie and then we'll bring that in a little bit because they have questions there too.
Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Jim.
No, you didn't. No, it was a perfect time to.
I just wanted to share a little bit that Chantal, what you have there is the beginning of a spiritual gift. It's kind of budding, so to speak, that you probably had some tingling and physical sensations, I would suspect, as you walked and were near this woman. And there are, I kind of agree with Chris that we all have these abilities, but I also know that there's some of us that are just born with them and they start early. Like I have had prophetic dreams since a child, and it seems to be a family thing. So my grandmother knew how to help me to understand that gift in her own way that she could explain it to me. So to give you one example that's maybe not too morbid, on August before 9/11, I actually saw what was going to happen, but I had no clue because I had never been to New York and I still have never been to New York. But in my dream, I saw masses and numbers of people coming across the Manhattan Bridge, and they were covered in this powder, and they were jumping up on the truck, and I was asking them what's happened, and their noses were bleeding, and they were covered, and they were just like they were trying to breathe. And that was the end of my dream. I didn't know. I had nothing to wrap my head around. What has happened? What could have been so bad? And what was this powder all over the people? So, and that was August before 9/11 occurred in September. I I really don't know why I have prophetic dreams other than to try to help people. So I have had times used those kinds of dreams to help people and not scare them. But and to pray. So what I did is I began to pray. I had no idea. I thought it was New York in my dream, but I wasn't sure. So I began to pray for every day for months. And another thing it's important for me to share, especially for the youth council, is that I began meditation like around the age of 13 and have maintained that every single day, absolutely without end. Every single day I meditate and have since that age. So there is a certain amount of development that you, it's a discipline, so to speak. And once that kind of primes your mind, then your mind can do these kinds of things. Like communicating with the animals and communicating with Mother Earth and the plants, because, and as Chris has explained so well, it activates that part of the brain. So those are the kind of things that I wanted to share. And um, I believe that we're living in a time where many people are beginning to develop these spiritual gifts that they didn't realize they had, and that it's important for us to share at this time. All right, thank you, Talking Stick in the Middle. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, that's really good. That's some good material there. And that gets to that, it's a really old question with a lot of things, but certainly with skills like this and spiritual things. Is it innate or learned? Or is it some of each? And where does timing play a role? And those are all really good questions if you want to drive yourself nuts. I had things happen when I was a kid, and they literally scared the hell out of me because I had no one to. I tried to bring it up to a couple people, and yeah, that didn't go well. So we want to be real careful right now too, because now a lot of the young ones are coming in ready to go. And if we recognize that, deal with them in a way that they see, that they understand you're saying, wow, this is great. How can I help you? Rather than, are you crazy? Which is what I got a lot of. So yeah, that's really, and I don't have a real answer in that, innate or learned. I think it could be either. That's just my personal opinion from experience. Um, and I know other people who came in and as babies, they felt these gifts. Still others I've worked with later in life, and suddenly these things started blooming in them. But again, it's the same question. Well, was it always there? And now we're just feeding it. So now it'll bloom. Could be that too. As long as we see that it happens, I don't know that it's really too important to think about which it is. Okay. So again, from the Youth Council. Oh, very nice. We are, everything has to be learned in nature, everything spiritual. That's their opinion, that's mine too, but I'm prejudiced. And our group is one of their schoolrooms. So, yeah, one of their classrooms. We're one of their classrooms. So they're thanking us for that and for sharing what we're sharing. And I would say it's mutual because every time I talk to them, things come up that I hadn't thought of before. They're sitting here now, and maybe we need to bring a couple other people with hands up. But one of the things that's really distressing them is they're really tired of seeing attacks, not only on people, but on our planet and on our world. And I guess today, Trump signed away barriers and Escalante. And they're wondering, okay, how do we deal with that? We can't just pray. You said it, Jim. No one's going to do it for us. So how do we use our gifts to help change these things? All right, so before we go there, let's get to who was first, Chris or Marcy? Christopher.
Um, if I go into just answering a bit of that question, how do we work with things? Often what I'll do is I'll feel something and I'll feel its timeline. Once in a while we get things that are fixed in stone and there's not much we can do about it. But we can often work with the peripheral effects of something. Other things have the ability to be changed. And it's okay if I look ahead in time and see what is the change that is available with this. How do we achieve that? So I go up to the solution and then look back at the situation from the solution. Okay, how do we go about that? What's that showing me? What do I need to bring forth in that? What resources do I have? how do I use those resources, and are the people that I need to bring into this. These can all be a part of that intuitive ability of feeling ahead in time and asking the right questions. I find all the answers we need are there. It's a matter of asking the right question. As we ask ourselves questions, answers and responses come, and we can take, okay, where do I need to go with this? And just keep asking question after question after question as it leads you forward until you get that outcome where you have that sense of clarity at the conclusion or at that completion point where, they agree to stop logging the forests and stop selling national parks or whatever it is that we're standing up for or working with, or even just in personal evolution. Now that I've said that, I've forgotten the rest of what I was going to say. So
That's okay. It was really good.
Back in the middle.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, I know. It's easy to have that happen when we're doing this too. Yeah, and so they've heard us say many times that I know I do, so I'm guilty. The questions are often much more important than the answers. And I've really seen that over time. If you don't have the questions that are proper or needed, the answers are meaningless. So that's true. And okay, so how do we use that? Is their question at this point? So based on what you guys were saying, those are huge pieces of sacred land, but also natural space that are being affected. So what do we do? Peaceful action, yes, that's already starting. I already had 3 groups called today, and we're going to have more meetings. And everybody else should be talking about this. You guys are up there on the res. Get out there, talk to the people. Yet last night I had, 5 different tribes represented here. So if each one of us goes to our respective tribes, there's a shifting and a changing. And we don't want, this isn't just tribal. This is everybody. So how do we use our gifts there? Marcy, I think you were next.
Well, I was thinking of something before the youth council spoke up, but I was thinking about innate versus the other end. But if you remember clear
Yep.
back in what was said about indigenous peoples long ago, um, the gifts were there. They may have been more dominant in one person than another, say someone that could easily talk to animals, or someone that was in the dreamer society, or the warrior societies, all those societies where those individual persons abilities were in their own circle, you might say. And that, so along the way, as we have developed in this human thing, we've shut that whole area of our minds out. But it's been there in certain peoples along the way also that were called crazy or what have you. But those abilities have been in us, have always been in all of us, in our deeper minds. And I think the times we're in is bringing all that back up to surface so that we can be the ultimate human that we're supposed to be. So in that sense of the word, I'd say they are innate. They're built into all of us. Some of us don't even realize our gifts growing up, like someone who naturally can touch somebody and heal them. You're like, wow, what was that? But never under their own control, you might say, or never always available for them. But when it was needed, that would happen. Like, well, that's their gift. Some people can speak clearly and has been that way for many years of their lives, more like a prophet or something. They bring good, solid new ideas to a whole circle of people. That's been their gift, and they didn't realize it either. They, because of what they suffered in reaction from other people, but they find out later it's a gift. And many of these kinds of things, like I said, talking to animals, the sensitivity involved in that. So I'd say they're innate, but they have to be practiced and developed at this stage as humans because we've had them squashed so far down. And that they really don't go away when they're not in use at a particular time because everything moves in rhythms. And while you're experiencing what you might be having to learn in your life at a given moment, they can be subdued for a while because you're busy in your own development. And then suddenly you reach a certain understanding, lessons learned, and it pops back up again. And you're going, oh, I thought you were gone. But they were there. They were just subdued. So to um, I don't even remember her name at the moment. I don't think we lose them. We're not guilty people that lose them and God takes them from us. I think they're they're just subdued in natural rhythms, and then they surface again. So anyway, that's my thought.
Yeah, that's powerful. I agree with everything you said there.
Thanks.
And and the grandmothers, one of the grandmother vows say, yeah, that have them taken away from us. That's
Yeah.
religion. That's
Yeah.
religion, not spiritual.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
right? If you're bad, you're going to burn in hell.
Mhm.
Dying. So yeah,
The more we release all that program, the
yep,
more it
yes.
all arises back up in us and it becomes part of what we are, what we've always been, but has been squashed. Yeah. Just keep clearing your mind of garbage programs. It innately happens.
Clean out the stalls, as one of my teachers used to say. Shovel
Yep.
the stuff out of those stalls. You don't need it anymore. So yeah, no, I'm with you on that totally.
Cool.
They're also um, from the grandmothers again. They also feel, most of them feel that these gifts are innate. However, some people do make a choice, conscious or not to activate them, and that I've seen too. So, and that's what I have people come to me and they start working. How did I learn this? Thank you. You're so wonderful to teach me this. And I'm going, no, no, no. All I'm doing is helping you open the doors. That's already in you. And for it to grow, they have to accept that. And I know I went through that, so that part I totally understand. It's also, when you were talking, Marcy, those were some of the gifts that I had as a kid. I could talk to the animals right away, and I could hear them, and I understood what they were saying. And of course, older people just thought I was, oh, you're just being, the invisible friend syndrome. But I know I could really hear them. And then the trees. And even as a child, and I was not an easy child, I know, I still ask forgiveness from my mother up there all the time. I would go and lay under the trees, and it would calm me down. It would allow me to clearly see things I could or I hate the should word, things I could do in a different way that were not as destructive to the environment, the social environment including. And of course now they're just coming out with this, oh, what is the substance? Darn it, I couldn't think of it. The roots, especially the deep roots of trees, there's a substance that comes out that literally affects the human body, the genome, and starts to even change your DNA. So gifts are enhanced, healing is enhanced, and a couple of these people who were here last night, we were laughing because we're like, hey Jim, isn't that what you heard 30 years ago? And I said, yep, what about you? Oh yeah, heard that from the elders. But again, science lags behind because science still fights, including that part of it that's not just brain. Some of it's learning, which is good because science can be a great tool if it's balanced. So what the grandmothers are saying is, well, I'm just throwing a bunch of things out here and people can pick and choose what to respond to. Yeah, these gifts that appear, especially in the young, are appearing in many of our grandchildren now. Ah, they appear to be in different amounts. Oh, okay. They're talking about the number of them. I've worked with this one before too. We all have innate gifts. Okay, so if we start from there, just accept that for a moment, even if you don't. That's okay. Mine, when I was young, the first one was talking to animals and then talking to plants and trees. Other people had other gifts they would have. What I learned when I started working with people much further advanced than I am, probably ever will be, there's all these things that need to be done for us to create this new earth we want to, and to make heal ourselves, heal with the planet, go into balance, all the things we've talked about here. Some of them require a lot of people to make it happen. Some of them don't. Some of them require a smaller number of people. So there may be less people with one gift than another. Again, that doesn't make it any more or less. It just means the universe and Mother Nature are balancing things out. And what Marcy was talking about to me is that's leadership by circle again. Whoever has the best power at the moment, the best understanding, that's the person that needs to stand up and lead us. And when they're done, they can sit down, and we'll need the next one. That way, we're also taking advantage of all those gifts in the way that I think Creator and the Mother decided. Ooh, this is good stuff. Thanks, grandmothers. I hope that's a really great point. Nicholas.
Aloha in the ocean. Can you hear me okay? Okay, pardon me if there's a little wind, but thank you to everyone for your gifted sharings. And I just felt kind of called to share something that's really helped me, which is relating to the chakras. And I hear how people have shared of kind of these outward gifts and these inward gifts or innate gifts. Um, and yeah, we can see how the chakras and our main energy centers in our body um, like expressing outwards or in impressing inwards kind of thing. And um, the eight main clair senses, you know, and a few have been mentioned. I've heard some clairvoyance and some clairaudience type stuff. And, you know, there's some of the lower chakras like tangency in the sacral and being able to taste how things would be together probably make for a good cook, or clairalience, which is the ability to smell things. I've often gone into places and smell something that isn't in there, and it's offering some kind of information or message. So and the main reason I bring this up is it seems like as Christopher mentioned with soul evolution and stuff, that we can kind of come in with our soul, I guess, kind of imprinting our aura and our capacity energetically to have some of these gifts we've perhaps worked on in other lives and stuff that can come through. And I know as well too people who've done some, say, past or parallel future life healing, where then these different gifts all of a sudden come online. And but what I've experienced especially is the more like balanced and aligned our different chakras are, then the more, I guess, attuned to these potential gifts inwardly and outwardly we have access to. And hearing how people talking about children and fresh and haven't been all programmed yet and taken on wounds and such, that perhaps that energy is coming in a more pure state, or we're getting more rest or being taken care of all our vital needs. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that, and I'll paste some info in the chat and a little link. But yeah, just encouragement too, that what I've also experienced is like working with the chakra and the energy system. The more like a tree, we're working on our foundation and our root and our physical, then those higher senses can become more finely attuned. It's like the more rooted we are in ourselves, then we can kind of, I guess, balance, center, align the energy more completely, more thoroughly, so to speak. But yeah, I appreciate it. Everyone here seems to be interested and intrigued and utilizing these gifts. So please continue, and big prayers for everyone being of service to spirit.
Thanks, Nicholas. Yeah, more good thoughts. This is really an amazing group. And I include you guys who are here on the phone, too. Something came while you were saying that, but I guess I lost it. It's okay. Oh, come on, Dragon, help me out here. Christopher, I'm having inspiration. I feel a kiwi coming.
Thank you very much for that. I'll try and see if I can fly over. Yeah, bits that are coming up for me, this is sort of just random bits. I find those of us who often have developed the most gifts are often the ones that have been through the most as well. When we go through intense experience and having to resolve things on that physical level, it makes us go deep, which a normal life wouldn't make us do. And in that depth, we find those other aspects of intuition, consciousness, awareness, whatever it is, that puts us in touch with them. So often, if you've had an intense life, it often gives us the most potential as we learn to work through things. Other bits, when people I've seen developing gifts, first coming in touch with them, way back in the day when Jim and I were a couple of years younger than what we are now, in New Zealand, we used to find if people had gifts and didn't know what to do with them and weren't sure what it was, they would go to the churches or go to their doctors, and doctors would send them to a psychiatrist. Neither of these were helpful places to go, and it still happens a bit nowadays. Being aware of that. So if you're starting to develop things, being able to talk about it amongst yourselves is really helpful. So if somebody does have an experience, they realize, we can talk about it and there's people around here we can go to. So it's helpful to find people who can relate to what you're sharing and help guide you along the way. And if you're lucky, you'll find more than one or two teachers who can help share from their own experience. The third thing I was going to mention that comes up, I find, as sometimes when we go to develop gifts, some people get scared and they don't lose the gift. What they do is they back out. They go back out towards the ego, usually, back out to their comfort zones because the gift was confronting and they didn't have enough input from people who could help guide them with it. For those who do find guidance and evolve your gifts, be aware as we go along, we learn to take more responsibility for those gifts. And in the beginning days, if I did something where I wasn't quite on track, it'd come back and let me know in about a week, somewhere over the next week, something would come along and remind me, a little bit off there, that's worth refining. If I do something that's off because I'm not listening as well as I could, I get instant feedback now. You talk about instant karma, it happens basically in the same second because there's a level of responsibility that goes with the depth that I tend to carry. And that's a thing with it. And you tend to find people that have learned to stay on track with their gifts, be very precise with it, maintain a level of accuracy, and they'll usually tell you, I have this feeling, but I'm not sure. They'll let you know when they don't know something, because that's part of learning responsibility, not overemphasizing, but also not underemphasizing. Just laying it out there as we find it and feel it. And, random bits of information. I hope they're helpful for somebody.
What do you do? We're gathering a lot of bits and we're creating wisdom out of all these bits.
Mm.
And so we have just a minute to just shake for a minute, breathe, relax, because there's a lot of heavy stuff here. So Chris, if you get immediate feedback, this is something I believe you have taught us before. You get a good swift kick in the cobblers. Is that what you're saying, Chris?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
A classic example of that one, which happened about a year ago. I was driving along the road and I got told to pull into the side of the road. And I thought, oh yeah, wanted me to talk to trees, tune into nature. And I didn't listen to it quick enough to pull in. And as I go down the road, oh yeah, it's about, tuning into nature. So I do my thing and do that and go, oh yeah, I'm great and wonderful because I've just tuned in and felt the trees and anything they have to convey. And as soon as I was patting myself on the back, smack on the windscreen, the stone kicked up by a truck and broke my whole front windscreen. If I'd pulled in, I wouldn't have been on that place on the road. But also, it coincided exactly when I was doing that egoic congratulating myself, which was off track. I wasn't listening to what it was really about, which was it was asking me to move off the road so I wouldn't be in that place where that event happened. So talking stick in the middle.
Yeah, as you're saying that, I remember too when we were up in the redwoods and we pulled in one place, and you just wanted to jump out and do something. So did I. And you're like, no, no, closer, pull over there so I can get more. Come on, let's go here. And I'm right with you. And next thing I know, wham! There was a low. You remember this, Chris? A low cement thing, which we couldn't really see from in the car, and I still carry the marks on the front of the car from.
I do remember that one.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
quite something.
I knew the location, but wasn't seeing exactly what you were.
Yeah.
And
So
yeah,
yeah, paying attention to these gifts as they appear too, and that you're right, making sure we use them in the best possible way. Marcy.
Well, I just wanted to add a small thought about, like meditating or and not receiving messages when you're hoping for it, or like your incidents you were talking about there. My teacher used to say, if you don't get any response in your questions or whatever from your spirit world, don't get into anxiety about it. There's just reasons they're staying silent. It doesn't mean something's wrong with you. Just something to think about. That's all.
Yeah, it's true. My teacher used to say, okay, go to your tree, because the answer wasn't going to come right away. Go just, yeah,
Hmm.
talk to
Hmm.
your tree. Maybe it'll come. Maybe it won't.
Maybe it won't.
Nope.
Yeah.
And you
Yep.
have to learn to. I had to do a lot of work, and I still do all the time. I was joking with Shazay yesterday, because he's not particularly patient either. And I said, oh, I don't know what's the matter with you. I'm known as Patience Wolf. And we have to work on that, especially right now, even though there's a million things and they're all happening in the moment, like Chris said.
Yeah,
Melissa.
you're a patient, all right.
Yeah,
Be
right.
patient.
We're all patients right now. Yeah.
Well, Great Spirit Creator, the Mother, they're having fun tonight. So I don't share it often, but my gifted name is Gentle Wolf. So here you go, Patient Wolf, Gentle Wolf.
There you go.
Yeah.
See, that's
And
why
Lupo,
we're
believe it or
family.
not, Lupo means wolf. So
Yes. Yes.
it was a couple of years ago. My Mohawk elder
Huh.
is Gentle Wolf.
So
So
is Lupo taking from lupus, wolf?
Lupo is Italian.
Is it? Okay. I thought lupus was Italian, but maybe that's yeah.
Lupo is Italian. Lupe is Spanish, like Guadalupe. Lupo, yeah. So anyway, um, I'm gonna start with the forks. Bodhi is just
Good.
that's handsome. A lot of energy. So he's my, listen, his name is Bodhisattva. So he's my real live tuning fork. So I just want to. I know. What? You sound beautiful. So those were the angel tuners. Then I worked with Saturn, and then 432 is the miracle tone, and then C, G, A, and F, which is a technique called the Leonardo technique. And what that does, both sets of these forks bridge heaven and earth. So that's what we're doing here. We're trying to walk this earth. And this is an experiment. So with this brain, and this kind of piggybacks off of last week's episode about the mind and the heart and the connection. And getting control of our thoughts, let's just start there, is key. And so I was taught taking an inanimate object and just doing a little practice. So this is something that our youth can try. We can all try this. 3 to 5 minutes a day. Take an inanimate object, pencil, a paper clip, something like this, and just sit it out. Could be a spoon, a button, a candle, anything at all. But the goal is not to have any profound thoughts. You want to be like pencil, 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 or paperclip, paperclip. Okay, and it could be like, okay, number 2 pencil, eraser, sharpener, anything related. But you want to, if your mind starts to wander, you want to bring it right back to this one object. So this is a way that you can start to work with that muscle of thought. So those are one of the 3, between the thinking, the feeling, and the willing. We want those to be harmonized. That's our soul, those 3 beings that live within us. So we want that to be harmonized because, listen, when Grandma Marcy was talking, and it made me think of, what I talk about when we talk about the introduction of technology and screens and the fall of humanity due to commercialism and materialism and AI, you name it, right? But once we got on that tractor and we lost connection and technology was introduced, it was a process for us to learn how to stay connected. So yes, we were here before with the invention, before we had, in this time anyway, right? Because we've been doing this for eons and eons, and we're doing it in so many different places at once. But in this experiment right now, at this event that's occurring, we're learning how this is it. This is harmony, and this is balance, and this is what all of we learn from the teachings. And yeah, we were given so many clues. We were given the playbook, and that's what we're given. We're given little shards of it, like, oh, you remember how to do this, don't? Yes, you do. And that's all what it is. It's like, you remember, and just like, when some of us be like, I remember, you just know somebody, or you just feel it, and how things evolve. So that control of thoughts, if you could do that 3 to 5 minutes, like you could just look at it, like, where did it come from? What is it about? What is this purpose? Maybe how was it made? And just the goal is just to really clear. So it's the same kind of thing with dream. So we want to be able to just receive. And listen, when I first did it, and I was in this foundation studies, it was a teacher training program, and I was like, just had children, and I had these things start to happen. I first started to smell. I would get in the car, and I swear my grandpa was sitting next to me smoking cigars. This is like when I was like 29 or so, when I was younger, and I was like, oh, and I would get freaked out. I would do that, and then I started to see really, really fuzzy. I was a school social worker at this local high school here. And people would walk in, and all I would see was fuzz. And I'd be like, is that me? when I put my finger in front of my face and I'm like, okay, is that you or is that me? So your senses start to expand. And when I've done this, this exercise with, I used to have this class called Spiritual Boot Camp, and we just did these basic exercises to get control of, because Steiner teaches six, and they're in his book, How to Know Higher Worlds, which is really training on your intuition. So I take some of it. So one of them is just this exercise. So if you could try that and maybe report back next week, we'll give you a little homework here to try to control your thoughts. And I suggest a dream journal. You know, part of this, most of it is setting your own. What are the goals? What do you want? Spirit will start to just be like tap tap, brush against you, and then it'll be like, oh, and then all of a sudden I call it sweep the leg moments. And when I was teaching online like every day for 180 days one year, I kept saying it. I said it so much that I think I shared this. Both my daughters broke their foot within a week of each other, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll stop. Because your words are wands, and you with your speech you speak it into existence. So that's what I have to say for right now. And I hear you, youth. I'll get a
Good.
card.
Oh,
I can hear them.
yeah, they'll be ready for that in a little while. Why don't we save that till shortly before we end, so we have a little energy at the end there. Okay, is that? Yeah, they're liking that too.
That's what I was figuring, but I'm
Good,
just saying
good, good.
I'll start to shuffle.
Because they were just going to ask. And I was looking at some of the chat comments while you were speaking too. I was doing double duty to make sure we're not missing questions that just got stuck in there. And one thing that I saw, so I'm going to call somebody out. You don't have to do anything or say anything. But I see that Amy is here, and she was talking about her dragon was with her, except that dragon was green. So I'm thinking, Amy, your green dragon is depicting the mother. So if my white dragon goes off course at all, just let me know. Give me a poke. It's Dragon Day. Oh boy, there's so many good things here. I think it was Kiwi Man. Where'd he go?
Yeah,
Oh,
I did have my hand up, but I was listening to other people so much, I forgot what I was going to share.
I
So
hope I never get that old. Oh, sorry.
thank you for that.
Sorry, son.
You're welcome. And take care, brother.
Yeah.
Love you as always.
Should we dig into? Valerie, why don't you take a stabberoo? Get a couple more here, and then I'll shift because this is also another interesting piece.
Okay, this is actually Denise's question from our chat, our Eagle talk talking circle, and I thought it was a really good question. Her question was, "What is the purpose of gifts, if any? And what is the purpose?" And I'm kind of like Melissa. I think we came into this world with kind of a playbook. Part of that is our book on, our gifts. Um, and we don't, of course, we've got amnesia, so we don't remember, but it's there. It's in us, and I think that ties into our earlier thought that it's innate. Um, I think of it more of like your own personal toolkit. You know, you got strapped to you, and you pull out those gifts when you need them. And I think about music and how that has been, one of my very best go-tos. And talk about cutting through some bad vibrations or whatever. You start singing or doing some beautiful music, and that frequency will cut right through that. And of course, art. I love art. And I think that's both for me with and also sharing with others. So, it goes both ways. So I'll go back and repeat the question. Um, Is there the question? Well, Denise, you can share. Why don't I turn it over to you, Denise, since you have your hand up, if you don't mind, Jim?
Yeah, I didn't even realize that I didn't make the connection.
Here.
Are you able to speak, Denise?
Yeah, yeah. My mom's in bed now, so I can speak. So, um, that kind of was part of the question. So, so between like distinguishing natural talents and gifts, because that was part of the question too, right? That was up in what we were going to talk about. So, like being artistic versus, say, gifts that we were just recently discussing about um, being, say, you can be aware of certain things, talk to trees, talk to animals, versus like how they're being, say, a purpose or serving others, being stewardship. Um, and like, so like when I was young, very young, I was open, like very open to everything. And I kind of like thought everybody was this way, very empathic. And as I grew up, I was made to be a sinner, and all these gifts kind of started slowly going away. But I also had known they were there, and so but I had never had anyone show me how to use these gifts. So I stumbled along, and some just appeared, and it was like, okay, so I use these. So I have gifts, but I have talents. So my question kind of was like, how do I know which gifts are a purpose and which are talents? Yeah. So that was kind of like, because I never
Good
had a
question.
teacher, I never had a guide. I never had, other than knowledge of reading books, Steiner and Young, you know, uh, so forth. Many, many, many books. So that was kind of like my question too.
Hmm.
Yeah, good question. And it actually kind of ties into what the youth council was asking too. They were asking whether we have, if our gifts are in one realm, like are they in the physical realm, or are they in the as prayer, or is it in ceremony, and what are they there for? So it's very similar, I think, to what you're asking, Denise. Boy, so the way it was shared with me, and maybe some of the others who have their hands up can add to this too. We've got two reasons for gifts: for us to work and use our medicine, for the whole, which also works on us, because we're part of the circle, but then also to be there to work collectively with others. And so I've had people who their gift appeared to be in whatever ceremony realm, but then when it was needed, suddenly they also had gifts in the physical realm or one of the other realms. So I'm not sure how that really plays out. I know they all come together, and just like with teachers, you don't want to look too hard, because the harder you look, the less you'll find. You want to open to it. You know the old line, right? When the student's ready, the teacher will appear. It's so true. I can't tell you how hard I looked for 10 years when I was younger. Because damn it, I'm going to find these teachers. The little suckers are hiding out on me. And I finally said, okay, I give up. That's it. I'll do something else. And boom, there they all were. Probably laughing, or at least Creator was laughing. So yeah, the gifts can appear to be in one realm. I don't know if that's reality. I know things I can do I feel are stronger than one realm or another, but I'm primarily a bridge anyway, so I want to be there to help whomever get from one piece of this to the next. So I just use whatever happens to be there. And I know some of you do because I know some of you, and I know how you use your gifts as well. So that's, I like the way when questions like that kind of connect. Don, Don Whiteout is here. You're muted.
Double muted there. All right. Yeah, so as I listen and I hear you all talk, I just scribble a lot of things and it's like, well, where do I start? And then somebody else talks. And so, well, maybe I'll start over here. Um, but I'll go back. I'll start with I believe it's innate, right? But we have to learn it. We have to work in this circle, right? I found this quote by Black Elk, and I did confirm that it's an actual quote from Black Elk. And he talks about the sky is round and the stars are round and the earth is round, and if the wind blows hard enough, it swirls and in that moment, because we talked about heart and head last week, it's like, well, we kind of go like this, but it's round too, right? They're not separated from each other, and so that was one epiphany that I really had this week is that um, we tend to look at things very linearly. Get that out, and I like what Nicholas said, right? That studied all ends of the spectrum, and um, you know, getting rooted, right? We live in a world where if you really look around and you can see it, right? Everybody's like living from here up, right? And so sometimes we come at things from here up. And so really getting grounded in the root, but even then we go, oh, the root, and we work our way up to the heart, and we work our way up, and most folks see that linearly. But it too is a bunch of circles, right? There's the major and the minor chakras, and it isn't just these seven. I've been told there's the eighth chakra, the secret chamber of the heart, but again, it all comes back to that circle. Um, and so then I think gifts and talents is to me, I struggle a little in the sense that I don't think they're separate. I think they're also in the circle. And how we feed ourselves around that, right? Because we typically start from a very high level of abstraction. And so currently, right now, I'm working my way through the 1939 version of Language in Action. There's a later version in the 80s called Language in Thought and Action, but it really speaks to the way we use words. And so I'm really seeing that in our now world, that we speak in very large words, right? But taking the time to distill those down, right? Like, well, what do you mean when you say uh, we need to, stop these injustices? What is that, right? We have to start breaking the level of abstraction down to these places where we as a circle can insert ourselves, right? Oh, we have this big problem, but what is that? I do that a lot in my work where they say this is the problem, and by the time you get people together and you start to look at the things that surround it, you start to see that it's very multifaceted. It isn't this problem, right? And so then it becomes, what area of that problem are we going to address, right? Where are we going to make the biggest difference in applying our gifts and talents? So I certainly think that it's important in the circle because we get to learn from each other here. I mean, when the topic came up in the chat yesterday, I was just befuddled, right? And I've been doing this my whole life. It's like, well, where do you start with that? right? Where do you really start with that? And I think I kind of ended back to Mother Earth, where you do it kind of the way that she grows trees. You do it the way cells are formed, right? You do it from the root. You have to plant that seed, and then even if all you know is what you want to plant, you can take your time cultivating it, opening yourself up to it, um, and losing. And the hardest part is losing the distractions of life to get to that place where you can sit down, right? Where you can stop the mind. And I love Melissa's, analogy of like just holding the pencil, or why not just hold the air, right? And it brought back this thing that I learned when I read the Dune books. The Children of Dune is a fascinating book to me, because it was really around the training of the two siblings there. And one of the things they were taught is disengage, right? So if I'm getting to this place where like my mind's running away, I just stop and say, disengage, disengage. And so that's kind of been the thing that I've done. Um, so I think it's about planting seeds, cultivating them, letting them grow in their own strength, right? Um, my wife grows these beautiful plants, but sometimes she thinks, well, that plant needs a bigger pot, right? And she took this plant. It was a beautiful plant. This just a couple of weeks ago. And she like turned it into like what it was when we got it, but the plant wasn't happy and the plant didn't do well. She says, but the roots were coming out of the bottom. I said, that's okay. I've had plants like that, the same pot for years. It was okay, right? It was growing out a little, but and she says, yeah, I learned this really good lesson that unless they look bad, I probably shouldn't mess with them, right? But life is like that, right? We do those things. We make those mistakes. We think we need to rip things out by the root. But I always believe if we step back, and start to go through that lower level of abstraction, right? And part of that is just allowing it to come to you sometimes, right? I do that with my DIY projects, right? I do everything. I'm not going to pay somebody to do it because I'm handy, but it might take me 6 months to put the plan together because I want to know, okay, what do I need to do? How am I going to do it? And life is like that. And I think growing our gifts is like that, right? Recognize them, plant the seed that they're there, take the time to be still in the moment. I think the best thoughts always come when your head is empty, um, like mine. Right? It is, that was kind of a joke, really, but um, I think that yes, if we and it's really hit me more lately than at any other time that we need to lose the linear, right? We're not going to solve the problem, or somebody's not going to solve this problem that we have before us right now for us. That's been said several times in here. And unless we change the construct, right? Unless we get back to um, you know, the sound of the F sharp, which the physicists have proved, is a sound that is detected in DNA, all these waves and I love Melissa's tuning forks. So I was going to ask her, is that an F sharp? Because, um, the physicists have tracked that back to so many things, the sounds in the universe, different things. So it takes a lot of cultivating and the tools that you have for your cultivation. Is that a teacher? Is that a book that falls off the shelf or smacks you when you walk by it? Podcast? Um, just start watering your plant, you know. And I have a tendency to look at the problem sometimes. And what I have to do is kick myself in the rear, right? And say, okay, I'm stuck. You know, I need to water, right? I need to empty myself. I need to put it out there that this is what I need and go after it. So I encourage everyone to yeah, just be an empty vessel and just hold the pencil or hold the air and and let it come to you. It was all there. Our society has ironed it out of us in a lot of different ways. Um, and I think we're blessed by people who don't judge us as we go through life, right? Who say, "Oh, okay, that's okay," um, because I think that helps us all to be comfortable. We're so concerned about what other people might think that we're doing or how they're going to feel about it, and I think that that stops us a lot as well. Um, so I think going back to the mother, going back to the circle, engaging is really the key. And I've probably talked too much, but I had a lot that I
No,
couldn't express that I think I found a way to express between
beautiful.
reading the topic and getting to the floor. But it so many different things clicked in the last 24 hours. It's been kind of overwhelming, really. So thank you, Circle. Stick in the middle.
And that's really good because that's exactly how you want to function. And then let it come to you. And then when the time's right, you find, at least it happened for a lot of people, including me, you open your mouth and what has to come comes. And it's like, why was I thinking that through so much? It was there. But you have to get real comfortable with that process because you don't want to be standing there going, and nothing comes. But that really doesn't happen usually. So several things while you were talking. First, you said, keep watering your plants. And right away, I got the last lines from Jefferson Airplane. Feed your head, feed your head. Everybody, feed your head and your hearts.
I
So
play that occasionally.
I do too. That's one of my faves, absolutely. Some of those old ones are coming back because we need their help too.
Awesome, Nick.
Yeah, and the grandmothers commented while you were talking, Don, that everything you were saying was really true and powerful. How did they put it? They wanted to add how important it is for those of us getting older to make sure we pass our gifts or how to find our gifts onto the younger ones. And I was feeling that too when you were talking. I couldn't even tell you how or when, but that was coming up. So,
Well,
yeah,
I do know for me that I actually commit time to spend with my granddaughters who live
yep,
in Tennessee to do art and to let them lead it, right? To really let them lead it. And they're leaders and they're just being raised in a cool way with nature and the homeschooling and stuff that they do. But and I also had an interesting episode where I took my grandson to a tractor pull. Anyone ever been to a tractor pull? I mean, you want to talk about, noise that blow your ears off. And the first couple of trucks ran, and those are the quiet boys, really. And he turned and he looked at me, and they're sensitive boys. And he looked at me, says, "Grandpa, we need to go." And I said, "Okay." And but he was so afraid, you could see the guilt and stuff. And it's like I was not going to let him feel that because that's kind of what I would have experienced as a child, right? Oh, you're being a sissy or whatever else. And it's to honor the children because they are our inheritance.
yeah, absolutely. The other interesting piece I was feeling, Don, was as you were talking, and it's having our gifts work together and knowing when to use them and where. Don and I work together a lot, and our gifts are almost opposites. I see big picture right away, and my natural action would be to move and act immediately. Sometimes that's really important because if you don't, you lose the opportunity. Other times you end up with your foot in the bear trap, where Don will sit back and he'll need time to analyze it. And I think when tell me if I'm wrong or not, Don, when we first started really working together, that could be frustrating for both of us until we came to understand, oh, okay, we're both coming at this. Sometimes it's slower and methodical as needed. Other times, oh, There's no time here. What do we do? So to me,
Yeah,
that
no,
right?
yeah, I would agree. Yeah, that
Yeah, and
it's a
that's
balance,
it is a
right?
balance.
It is.
And working with circle is a balance like that too. It just doesn't happen. Oh, everybody gets it and everybody knows when to sit down and when to stand up. Nope. It takes hard work. So yeah, that was a really yeah, thanks, Don. That was excellent. And it looks like we have to bring up from the bottom of the world, Mr. Kiwi.
No, I was wondering if we were going to have time and space for it. Um, one of the things that came up while you were talking, Don, is when you talk about having what I call space, that just that quiet space with no mind chatter. If we want things to come up, if we don't give it space, how can it arise? So you're speaking directly to that, giving space for things to arise as they arise in whatever way they arise. Really, really helpful tool. I find in tuning into our abilities, gifts, instincts, intuition, whatever. The other one I was going to speak to is that why do these things come along? And what I've learned along the way, and this is just what's come up for me, when I was learning to see things further, whether it's people's auras or see what's going to happen, or where something's happening medically inside somebody, it was taking a skill I already had, which was vision, and just taking it further than I'd gone before, which is about learning to go deeper. We can see deeper, we can hear deeper, we can smell, taste, feel, touch. All these senses and abilities are actually far deeper than most of us realize. Along the way, we switch from perceiving them in the world of time to being in the moment with them, which brings a whole new range of senses to go with those abilities, and they refine as well. And each step we take and each movement forward brings us closer to whatever's next. And I've never found an end to the journey yet. So to me, it's just a constant path of growth and understanding. Yeah, and to me, that's been a very big part of it. Um, there was something else. I'll leave it at that for the moment anyway.
I like the way you leave these little cliffhangers at the end. It's really cool. It's like old time movies. Yeah, boy, wow. I mean, we could go on for another 2 hours. This is
I
amazing.
think I think Grandma Mary has something to share. She's
Oh, I
unmuted.
didn't. Did I miss that? I'm sorry, Mary.
Hi, hi.
Hi there.
Uh, hey, um, we were talking about how to land and ground our not only our skills but our potentials. And for me, it was always about channeling the functioning relationship with the light. So my variation on that one is to ground and center in nature, but at the same time, adopt my eyes. So I let my eyes go out of focus as I gently focus on an inspiration piece. And then this light comes, and it's a matter of traveling with the light as it allows us to reveal more about what's in our hearts, if only just to be, or how to be, just pure light. I know that sounds weird, but it's the idea of how to work with frequency and to effectively translate that into our bodies so that we can hold the range, hold the frequency of our open hearts. Because once your hearts are opened at that range, we can become a little unstable because our minds aren't necessarily the ones calling the immediate shots. And so then there's the journey of traveling that figure eight between the heart and the mind. And I found that the breath slash heart is the equalizer. It's the bridge. So establishing a relationship with the bridge is for me, very important in being able to land our potential through spirit. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. Sorry I missed your hand, but
There
it
was no
happened.
hand. There was no
Oh,
hand.
okay, good. Well, then I don't feel quite as bad.
Oh,
I'm
no,
still
not at
sorry I missed you, but at least I didn't miss an obvious.
all.
Yeah, and people are, there's lots
Only
of,
I saw it.
yes, you
We're
must
playing
have
trick
seen it
practice.
with your heart.
Ta-da, ta-da.
Yeah, and a lot of people are making comments. So more and more is, boy, this could lead to so many different ones. Music is coming up, and I've been thinking for a while, we need to do a whole show on music. Music was critical back in the 60s and 70s. Believe me, without it, we would have done nothing. So even though we had to stop at one point there, without the music, nothing would have happened. And I'm starting to see it come again. So maybe music and art, maybe we put them together. So to me, that's one we follow up on. I don't know what we do with this thing because we could still do so much more. We're open to suggestion, people, always. Anybody, just, go to, what are we, a gathering of eagles. Or go to one of us, doesn't matter. And, open up, okay, can we do another week? Because I'm sure the youth council has a lot. They said a lot. I hope I was better balanced this time, guys. But there was even more they would have loved to say. And we need to pull a card, but I think Chris has remembered the fourth thing.
Yes, I did remember something. One of the things of why we get these gifts and have them offered to us is the universe is here, which is essentially us, our higher consciousness, our connection to source, encourages us to grow, which means stepping forward, moving in a growth direction. So abilities are one of those ways that can offer us something that we can feel there's a deeper sense of something to go to here. And it's a way of encouraging growth, offering us the opportunity to see if we step into it. One of the other things that goes way, way back in our conversation earlier today, when we look at asking questions, if we're asking questions, sometimes if we're asking an external, oh, my guides, can you tell me what to do? Can you tell me where to go? Can you tell me whatever, whether it's our guides, God, source, consciousness. Sometimes asking questions okay if we're not getting an answer. I look, do I need to be asking this question internally? So if we're asking externally, look at switching internally and see if the answer becomes more available. Sometimes I get situations where it's just not for me to ask a particular question. Not at this time. Often it's just to sit with what is. But yeah, talking stick in the middle.
Thank you, brother. So I'm thinking, I'm just going to comment on one little thing here a minute, and then to Melissa for the card, and I see Robbie already pulled frog, and then up to Chantel to close this out, if she's okay with that. But the one thing while we were doing this, and it's circles connecting again, this has come into many of our gatherings, and that's good. I got a red flag up on my phone while one of us was talking. And there's a few people who I have set up, so if they really need to connect, they can. So I took a look, and it's one of my friends, Adam Yellowbird, and we were together Sunday at Standing Bears event. But he's talking about in a month's time, there's going to be a 10-year reunion of Standing Rock, even though I can't believe it's already 10 years. And some of us are going. Well, we're trying to find our way to be able to go. But he's saying there's some other elders who want to be there so badly, but we'd need another 400 or 500 hours to get them there. What do you think, Jim? Who can we go to? Can we try this? And I'm thinking, yeah, I mean, that'd be great. They were there right at the beginning. But at the same time is coming in more, especially from the youth, about those two pieces of land, Barriers and Escalante. that he's just given away. Trump's given away pretty much to mining. No coincidence as these circles come in because they are overlapping. We're celebrating in about 3.5 weeks' time the waters, which is Standing Rock, and now we have to work on the land, which is Barriers and Escalante. So this will all work together, and this is part of, don't force it. If we don't force it, it will, like the old, what was the movie? Field of Dreams. If we build it, they will come. They're coming. We just have to allow it. I just wanted to add that. I thought it was a nice little connecting. Maybe not. Maybe no one else understood it but me, but that's okay. Melissa,
I pick up what you're putting down from one wolf to another. All right, so I pulled the possum, but I'm going with the frog because Robbie, you're magic. And I have a relationship with frog. So cleansing, number 38. Sing, frog, sing. Call the rains, quench the dryness, cleanse the earth, then fill me up again. I think this is an answer to the youth's question on how do we use our awareness and our gifts to heal the mother. Frog sings the songs that bring the rain and make the dirt road more bearable. Frog medicine is akin to water energy and the east on the medicine wheel. Frog teaches us to honor our tears, for they cleanse the soul. All water rites belong to Frog, including all initiations by water. Water prepares and cleanses the body for sacred ceremony. It is the element we understand best in the womb. Frog, like ourselves, is a polywog in the fetal waters and only learns to hop after it experiences the world of fluidity. The transformation into adulthood prepares Frog for its power to call in the waters of the skies, the rain. And knowing the element of water, Frog can sing the song that calls the rain to earth. When the ponds are dry, Frog calls upon the thunder beings to cleanse and replenish the earth with water. Like Frog, we are asked to know when it is time to refresh, purify, and refill the coffers of the soul. If Frog hopped into the cards you chose today, it's Ribbit may be calling and the cleansing you need. If you were to look at where you are today, would you use any of the following words to describe your condition? Tired, overloaded, harried, frustrated, guilty, itchy, nervous, at a loss, empty, or weekend? If so, take a break and allow yourself to bathe in the waters of frog medicine. This could mean a long, relaxing bath, disconnecting the phone, yelling, "Stop!" or taking in a deep, cleansing breath. The key word is to find a way to rid yourself of distractions and to replace the mud with clear energy. Then replenish your parched spirit, body, and mind. An ability of frog medicine, people, is to give support and energy where it is needed. A frog medicine person can clean negativity from any environment. Many mediums or clairvoyants who work with cleaning haunted houses carry frog medicine. Many of the world's seers use water on their hands when tapping into the other realms of reality due to water's superconductive nature. In Mayan and Aztec shamanic practices, the shaman places water in his or her mouth and sprays it over the body of a patient to clear away negative energy. This is done while holding the thought of frog firmly in the mind so that healing may occur and the patient may be replenished with positive energy. So there's another tool for y'all. Sometimes dried and stuffed frogs are also used to guard the person's body during the session. Frog speaks of new life and harmony through its rain song. The deep tones of frog's ribbit are said to be a call to the thunder beings, thunder, lightning, and rain. The ribbit is the heartbeat that comes into harmony with Father Sky and calls for the replenishment needed. Call to frog and find peace in the joy of taking time to give to yourself. A part
Well,
of
my
this
friends, we have later updates coming from the front lines. They're very interesting. Let's zoom in to this Dnipropetrovsk direction.
is cleansing yourself of any person, place, or thing that does not contribute to your new state of serenity and replenishment. So maybe just take a second to think about that, and you can hear,
Ribbit.
sense, smell.
Everybody, come on. Everybody turn on Ribbit.
Ribbit,
Ribbit.
ribbit,
Ribbit, ribbit.
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 Ribbit, ribbit.
Anything, yeah, use that to clear like you would use the drum, right?
Right? Right?
Because at the end of the day,
Yep.
it's not easy being green. And if you're here, you're green. And it's not easy.
Yeah. That's fun.
Thank you for pulling that,
Thank you.
Robbie,
Thank you, Robbie.
and for staying up so late with us.
Is he still up? Yes, he's up. Look at that.
Yeah, you
All
still
bright eyed.
Yes. You're bringing in my Raven family from the UK.
There you go.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. All right,
So,
Chantel.
as we turn it over to Chantel, let's all remember the strongest and the first of the First Nations. The four-leggeds, the winged ones, the finned ones, creepy crawlies, the standing people, and the rock nations. Let's just hold them in our hearts as Chantel prays us out, if that's okay, Chantel.
Yes, that is absolutely fine. Just I'm working on it to add those in my prayer, all that what you just said. But Buju ani manidu dag minawana ji bimadazig manomina quain and desnikas jaganashimang Chantel awaza sin and do dame obashing ninujaba. Gichi money do minawa ingiu money do wabanang jawanang ningabianang minawa giwadinang money do oma aking mama aking minawa de gijik money do ishpaming minawa money do nibakang daga o da pinig wa a sema jawanim gana wanim wadakau minawa jawanim mishinam Najib Imadazig, Wadaka Wishin, G Mino, Gunawa Baamagwa, G Mino, Gunawa Gwa, Minowa, Mino Dudawagwa, Najib Imadazig, G Nande, Gakain Damin, Ojibwe Moen, Minowa, Anishinaabe, Ijatwawan. Gitchi miigwech, gitchi manidu, gitchi miigwech manidoog ga ganawe ne minagwa, gitchi miigwech noongum ga gijagak, gitchi miigwech ga mijayang mino bamadaziwin, gitchi miigwech ga gena gego ijichagayek, gitchi miigwech ga gena gego ga ajatuyek. Daga jawena mishinam ayawayang najib imadazig, ningi minaji duin, neen Awen minaji duin gijawenamin mit you miigwich manominakwe. Calling upon all the spirits and my fellow living beings, the Great Spirit and those spirits in the east and the south and the west and in the north. Spirits here on earth, Mother Earth and Father Sky. Spirits above and spirits of the waters. Please accept this tobacco to love them, have compassion for them, take care of them, help them. Love us, my fellow living beings. Help me to look upon them well, to speak to them well, and to treat them well. My fellow living beings, help me to learn the Ojibwe Moen and the Anishinaabe culture. Thank you, Great Spirit, and the spirits who take care of us. Thank you for today. Thank you for giving us the good life. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for everything you create. Please love us for who we are, my fellow living beings. I respect you. Together we respect each other. I love you, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chantel. Thanks, Melissa. That was fun with the frogs. And Chantel, we're watching some of Chantel's gifts blossom as we do these. And that's, stay aware of those things because we can feel them happening. And I feel not only the more comfort with the words, but the energy in our words is going deeper and deeper. So thank you for that. That hard work is much appreciated by the circle. Well, I think we're good. Are we good? Valerie, Melissa, are we good?
I think so. I think so.
This was
Thank you
powerful.
so much for everybody's heart tonight.
Yeah, yeah,
Beautiful.
absolutely was.
Our youth and the grandmothers, thank you.
Yes, I was thanking them. Yes, the grandmothers are gone. They lost the connection, but the youth are still on there. They want to talk with me for a minute. I probably did something wrong. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Good night, everybody. Have a great week. We will reconvene here next week. Much love to all of you.
And I can't help, we just have to say, if nobody told you,
Oh, please.
I loved you
Love
today.
you.
I love you.
All together now. I love you.
I
I
love you.
love
I
you.
love you.
Love you.
I love you.
Thank you, Wayne. I know you're there, you sucker, you.
Yes, he is. Look at the bear. He wants
He is a
out.
bear. Yep. Good night,
Good
all.
night. Good night.
Good night.